lead a team of data scientists, geneticists, and IT experts at Genuine. We are a personalized medicine company. And personalized medicine is a big word, so we focus on a small area of personalized medicine, specifically how our genetics and medications interact. And just to give you, oops. Oh, how does it work?
So it wasn't just me.
Yeah, it wasn't just you. So just to give you a small example, take my drug of choice, caffeine. I discovered through much trial and error that I can only drink coffee until 2 in the afternoon, otherwise I'll lose my night's sleep. So I am a slow metabolizer of caffeine. It's only taken about 20 years for this realization to sink in. So with a test like PillCheck, you can discover far less obvious drug-gene correlations in a matter of days. And why is it important? Well, drugs play I need to master this thing. No. Okay. So drugs play a huge role in our lives. People can get out of the hospitals with painkillers, and seniors lead long, productive lives because of heart medications. But unfortunately, a large number of medications are not really effective for everybody. And as a country, we spend $29 billion every year on medications. About 1/3 of it is wasted because it doesn't lead to improvements in health outcomes. And a big chunk of this waste is attributed to this mismatch between people's genetics and their medications. And it really applies to all of us because over 95% of people in this room have at least one genetic variation affecting drug response. So if you ever can imagine that sometime in your life you'll suffer from migraine, it's probably a good idea to know in advance what medication would work for you. And I also want to make sure that when we talk personalized medicine, we don't forget the person. So as a company, we looked at really balancing clinical utility, cost, and individual empowerment. So this would be a typical user of PillCheck, someone who had a health event. It's really disruptive for an individual, and people really want to get better. So it's really important for them to understand and that the medications prescribed work for them, and also they want to have confidence that whatever their doctor told them is actually going to lead to better health and improvement in their condition. Okay, so if you get this kind of pharmacogenetic test, like PillCheck, what kind of changes you can expect? What actually happens? So in the recent project we completed, the number was quite stunning. So 75% of prescriptions filled by an average Shoppers Drug Mart store had to change because of insights into personalized medicine. And the changes sometimes means that it's a switch to different medication, change in dose, or sometimes discontinue the drug. So the value to the individual is obvious. And when we started the company, we thought selling this would be a piece of cake. But you know, we've been at it for about 3 years, so we're only now starting to see the light. And this 22 months, yes, we are kind of at that point where several large organizations feel that 22 months had passed. So when we talk about personalized medicine, I'm sure you all heard you can get your genome read for $1,000. But what does it all mean? Because really the value is in interpretation of this genome. And most doctors agree that genetics play a role in how medications are effective or not effective. But unfortunately, only 10% of them actually know how to apply those results. So we're back at this innovation conundrum where science is there, but clinical acceptance is only emerging and growing and takes time. The interesting thing, we talk about consumerization. So 3/4 of consumers feel that they absolutely want to have pharmacogenetic test because they don't want to spend all this time being a guinea pig and trying different medications. And that's what we saw with our first deployments. We brought it out into workplace, and over half people in the workplace actually took the genetic test. We were shocked because we thought maybe people would feel hesitant about using genetic in the workplace. Not the case. People are quite happy if employer pays for this useful benefit to actually use it. So as a company, we're looking at a very large market, and when you start thinking about healthcare, so $30 billion spent on medications, and $3 billion sounds like a good number for a young company, but we also recognize that the value has to be articulated in the right way to all stakeholders. So this is the picture that we show to benefit providers, and it's quite obvious that if you can cut out some of these costs, this would really help. This picture is very compelling to the financial minds in the room. But the question always comes up, and I had this conversation with public plans and private plans. They say it's great, we'll love it, we love innovation, we like personalized medicine, but how much money am I going to spend at the plan? Can you tell me exactly? Because they have this budget, and they need to make decisions, and they really don't like to be disrupted. So as a company, other than being a genetic company, we quickly had to develop analytics capabilities. So we had to develop new skills to articulate to our buyers what actually is the value of our program. And what we commercializing now, yes, there is a genetic test, but a big part of our value is helping health plans identify the cohorts of individuals who would benefit from this genetically guided medication optimization. And the picture that makes sense to all these 8 people that Tim showed on his previous slide, so there's disability, there's drugs, there's benefits advisor, we had to learn how to articulate to all these different groups in one picture, what does it all mean if you bring genomics and personalized medicine to the table, if you bring it into the health plan. I'm struggling still. Is there, all right. This way? Okay. So the other aspect of success in this field, so you kind of have to do 3 things at once. You need to articulate value, we talked about that. You need to build a robust technology that would pass diligence over big IT departments of Sun Lives and others. And this technology needs to work in a very robust way. And especially when we're dealing with genomics, there's always a question, who is going to hold my DNA? Who is going to control it? And so as a company, we made a decision early on that people who give us DNA control access to it. And this was a very critical decision made early on by the founders. And this is actually unusual in genomics world. So I'm sure you all seen ads for 23andMe. This is a company that collects DNA data, and their business model is about selling data, not necessarily providing the service. And as we're entering consumerization of health services and specifically genetic services, this is a critical consideration for all of us, whether it's a personal decision, how you want your DNA data to be stored and managed, but it's a decision that we never had to deal with as individuals before. And so as we're thinking about personalized medicine, the title of this talk was, can we afford it? The short answer, no, we can't afford personalized medicine for everyone today. But a clearer answer is, yes, we can afford it for people who really need it. And that's where analytics come in. So as you're looking at performance of the health plan, you can really identify the cohorts of people who take many medications and they utilize a lot of health benefits. And these are the people that absolutely should get this genetically guided medication optimization, because they will benefit as individuals, because they will get better faster, and the health plan would benefit because they don't spend money on things that don't work. So lessons learned for us, we built a digital platform so we can provide a process that has no friction. It's taken a couple years to do it, but it now exists. But frankly, it takes a village to really change the paradigm of medicine. And personalized medicine is a completely new way of thinking about it. So clinicians, physicians, they need to come on board, and there's a massive education that's required. And it's not just us doing as a company, there's a movement really in that direction. And the most important thing, there must be a payment stream. So without reimbursement, physicians would be at best only partial adopters of this beneficial technology or any other technology. So the magic really in digital health is you start with a platform that works, but then you have to really go fast on the other two levers, which is clinical acceptance and reimbursement or payment stream. And so lessons learned for us, to me, digital health is change management informed by data. Change management is hard. Nobody wants to do it. And if you have no data, it would be even harder. So I would encourage everyone in this room to start thinking about visible and measurable value proposition to every circle on Team's slide, because the other discovery we made as an 11-person company, we're actually selling to organizations with 10,000 employees. There's not a single person who can make a decision there on their own. There's always a large group of individuals. They need to agree, and they need to see what are they agreeing to. So those visible value propositions are key. And finally, if you don't understand economics of your offering, you're not ready. So that's really the place to start. That's it for me.
Fantastic. This is like great technology to see. Now, my question is, let's say as the genome starts being more widely accepted in society, and we have more technology that starts looking at indicators to start predicting what type of illnesses, or let's even say social behavior people could potentially have. What are the ramifications if like insurance companies get a hold of this kind of information?
Yeah, good question, thank you. So first of all, in most developed countries, so US, Canada, there's legislation preventing insurance companies or employers any discrimination based on genetics. That's why we had to invest a lot into IT. So we have a role-based platform where as an individual, I see everything. As an employer, you only see 100 people took the test, and that's all you know, and we report back to you the results of, and therefore your cost went down by 5%. So you don't see any genetic data as an employer or insurer. But your bigger question is, how are we going to find out more about predisposition for different conditions and so on? So in my humble opinion, we don't know enough about our biology yet to really make very informed recommendation in that regard. There are certain areas like breast cancer risk and so on where data is quite robust, but these are very narrow areas. So As entertainment genetics, yes, it's interesting to know about my earwax, and I'm a second remote cousin to French Queen. But as far as actual health traits, it's just much more complex than we thought 10 years ago. And the more we learn about it, the more we understand that it's not so black and white. So that's why those projects exist, where people donate their DNA, because the hardest part is connecting your genotype to phenotype. So we can read the DNA, we know every letter in our code, but we don't know really how it manifests in your life and health. One area where evidence is very strong is pharmacogenetics. Why? Because we created pharmaceuticals, so we kind of know how they work. And therefore, we can predict with clarity how our genetics would affect whether these drugs are effective.
Sorry, just one quick question. So I sequence my DNA on 23andMe, and I can download the raw data. Would you envision providing an option where a customer can upload their data and then get the insights themselves?
So in theory, yes. In practice, no. You can have a good conversation with my colleague here, Dr. Dorfman. He's a geneticist. So the data you get from 23andMe is just not detailed enough, because the stuff they gave you is a little bit superficial. They may use other stuff for their own research.
Thank you. If you have questions for Veronika afterwards, you can come find her at the end.